Good day everyone. In this video we are discussing some of the key definitions. These definitions are made available to recap the terms used in the guideline and this training course. At a high level, there are three legs of definitions. One for the owner of the network, one for the customer, and one for agreements or legal aspects. The definitions provided in the document comes from different sources, such as different chapters of the Grid Code, any of the related acts or standards, etc. Different documents may have different wording, and in some cases combined definitions are provided. Let us start with the network owner definitions. So we have the entity who owns the network, i.e. the network service provider or NSP. The NSP is the legal entity that is licensed to provide network services to customers. The services can only be provided by a well-planned and maintained network, and the NSP needs to take ownership for that. Note that the NSP is an overarching definition and applies to any voltage level. The primary role is to manage, maintain, operate and expand the network. In terms of EG, it has to approve connection requests and inform Eskom as the next level up when necessary. More on this in later videos. NSP is the term used in the South African Grid Code. The distributor is the specific NSP that owns the distribution network, i.e. HV voltage levels and below. Note that the distributor may also appoint someone to take care of the duties, i.e. appointed representative. Its role and duties are the same as that of the NSP. When we add some distinction, a municipal distributor is the licensee of the distribution network in a municipal area. This is in contrast to Eskom as a state-owned entity who owns, shall we say, the main distribution network. It's therefore the same as the distributor that we just discussed, except that it specifically refers to a distributor owned by a municipality. Their role, of course, is the same as that of the distributor. Eskom is the state-owned enterprise that owns the majority of electrical transmission and distribution in South Africa. At this stage, it is still vertically integrated and therefore also owns generation, or the majority of the coal-fired and nuclear generation in South Africa. Since the system operator has also the responsibility of Eskom, they actually need to know about all generation that may affect the operation of the network. The network operator is often a department in the distributor that manages the operational aspects of the network. They need to know about the generation in the network, as it can impact control and operations, such as voltage regulation and loading of equipment. Next we will look at definitions that differentiate between different types of customers. Whilst customer has been used for all consumers of electricity, customers can now also be generators. They become customers of the network and not necessarily electricity consumers. Due to the addition of embedded generation, the mindset regarding customers changed slightly, since they can now also supply electricity or only use the network to distribute the electricity to their customers. Their role is to initiate the request to connect generators, drive the process, and ensure continued adherence to the supply agreement and other legal requirements, for instance the Grid Code. Consumer refers to the traditional customer. In other words, a customer that consumes electricity only. Since this guideline deals with embedded generation, the consumer has no role. The prosumer is a customer that both consumes and generates electricity. Generally, they are net customers. In other words, over a specific billing period, they consume more electricity than they generate. But net consumption is not a prerequisite. Battery energy storage facilities are also considered to be prosumers. Their role is the same as the customer. Generator with a capital G is a customer who connects a unit or a group of units that generate electricity. The electricity may be consumed by a customer on-site, or wheeled to another customer elsewhere on the network, or sold directly to distributor or Eskom. Generator may refer to a prosumer or a poor generator, i.e. one that only generates electricity for export. Their role is the same as a customer. Generator, all in small letters, refers to the physical generating equipment. So it's a unit or a group of units that generate electricity. And the third leg is the agreement or legal definitions. We will discuss the different agreements in a later video, but for now, a high-level discussion on some of the important topics. All prosumers or generators will have an updated connection agreement. This defines the relationship between the distributor or NSP and the customer. When the electricity is sold, either to the NSP or a third party, there will be a PPA or power purchase agreement. When it is sold to a third party, the customer will use the network to transport the electricity they generate to their customer, who signed the PPA. In this case, a wheeling agreement will also be required. So, wheeling of electricity is when electricity that does not belong to the NSP passes through its network. At a high level, there are three legs of definitions. One for the owner of the network, one for the customer, and one for agreements or legal aspects. We discussed the owner of the network, in other words the distributor or NSP, and indicated that these terms are often used interchangeably. Similarly, the customer or generator is used interchangeably, as those customers who own generators with or without a traditional load. The key agreements that will apply to many generators are the connection agreement, the power purchase agreement, and the wheeling agreement. We will discuss any questions and comments during the Q&A session. If you have not done so, take a minute and jot down the questions you have. Also look for additional information under the Materials tab and prepare for the quiz at the end of the day.